Alright, Astro subscribers, welcome back to the second video in the series of the Vedic Lord system. Today I'm going to be doing second Lord through the various houses 1 through 12, and for those of you who might not know what this is about, the Lord system is a complicated but very useful system in astrology that allows you to tell where the results or fruits of a particular house are going to come from. So, whereas, let's say, in the second house, which is related to your material preferences, the things that please you, like food, music, money, that kind of thing. That shows your second house shows your preferences, but it doesn't show where your preferences are going to arrive in your life from. So, for instance, if you're going to look at somebody's second lord, let's say that their second lord is Sun. So there would be a Cancer ascendant. So you would look at where Sun was in their chart, and you would see that, okay, well, the things that please this person, like food, money, music, whatever, they come through wherever Sun is. So that's just one example. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So the second lord through houses. So second lord in first house. These people, the material things in their life sort of show up at their body. This is a general rule of anything where the lord of a particular house is in the first house. These things tend to attract to them, like they're a magnet and they're pulling it in, and they might not necessarily know how they're pulling it in or why, but they do tend to set up situations where money will, or food or whatever, will show up at their door. Of course, you also have to look at people's 10th lord and their 6th lord, because what they're doing every day might interfere with that process and not make it move as smoothly as it otherwise might. Second lord and second house. These people, basically the best way I can explain these people, how these people make money and get the things that they want in life, is through looking at it as like a Taurus ascendant. So if you imagine that these people, basically, they get their wealth in the most standard way possible. And the most standard way to make wealth is through the ascendant of Taurus. Now, depending on what their second lord is, if it's Mercury, that sort of communication pattern, that pattern of the Taurus ascendant, which I've made a video on that you can check out, is going to have a sort of communication style flavor based on either Mercury or Gemini. If it's like Moon, for instance, a lot of their wealth is going to be related to like a family business or something like that, probably. If it's Mars, then they're going to have to probably start something, or maybe if it's Scorpio, they're going to have to research something to get that. But it's going to embody the pattern of a Taurus ascendant effectively. You can check out the video on that if you want. Second lord in the third house. These people essentially have to be self-employed. They have to make their money through communication, through sales, and they tend to, if they get in a job where they are not self-employed, where they're not making their money through their own means, with their own either handcrafted stuff or through their communication, because Gemini rules the hands and the speech, then they're going to generally get frustrated and either quit or lose that job. So, because somebody without that placement is going to get it, because they're the one who's supposed to have that. So if you have this placement, the best thing to do for you is to, second lord in the third house, the best thing to do is make your money communicating or be self-employed in sales or craftsmanship or something like that. Second lord in the fourth house. So what tends to happen with these people is they tend to get their resources through the family. So whether their family has a business, if they get an inheritance, this can be seen as like a sudden inheritance thing, where somebody doesn't have a ton of money throughout their life, and then all of a sudden, like, a family member either passes away or decides to donate to them, and then they get a bunch of money, they get a bunch of inherited money, and are able to invest that and be financially stable. So they're basically, the common denominator here is the family, whether that's through an inheritance or whether it's through working at a family business, or living at home is not optimal, obviously, for this placement, but this could also represent real estate, by the way, if the right placements for like Saturn and Mercury are there, because obviously you need intelligence and work ethic to do real estate. So this can be seen, because fourth house represents the family and the home, so this can be basically money through the family, or it can be money through the home. All in all, a pretty favorable position. Second lord in the fifth house. This is very similar to second lord in the third house. These people basically need to create something original in order to sell. These people are natural artists. They have a natural sense of aesthetic. They're very detail oriented when it comes to making things. It doesn't have to be like painting or something like that, although I have seen painters with this placement. Generally speaking, though, these people are at their best when they are making and selling something aesthetic, or when they are creating something original and sharing it with people. This can also be seen, educators like elementary school and middle school and high school teachers can be seen from this placement. Not college professors, but because that would be second lord in the ninth house, but any sort of lower education could be seen through this, like public schools or that kind of thing. So these people, and also tutors. So anybody who's helping somebody with like learning a skill that is not like at a giant institution, or it's not religious, but anything else like music instructors, that kind of thing. Musicians can also be seen from this placement, because that is technically a form of aesthetic. So second lord in the sixth house, these people basically make their money through their routine. And what that routine is, you're going to have to look at the sixth lord, wherever the sixth lord is placed. So basically, as long as these people are sticking to a schedule, they will be paid effectively. So basically, their money and everything that they need to achieve their stability comes through their routine, and how well organized they are. Second lord in the seventh house. Okay, so this is a good placement. You can see people who are in sales from this placement, like you can with second lord in the third house. Specifically one-to-one sales, telemarketers, people who sell insurance, people who are involved in any sort of like these online marketplaces like eBay or Amazon or that kind of thing. Consultants can be seen from this placement, advice columnists, relationship therapists, diplomats, people whose job is to help people reach a negotiation. All of these things can help them. Also, if second lord and the seventh house people ever get a chance to help somebody with their marriage, give marriage advice, they should do that if they think they can help, because they will often be compensated for it, and they might not even have to ask. The other person might just be so grateful that they helped that they will give them that. But and also these people, second lord and the seventh house people, they do tend to marry up, generally speaking. And I know that typically women would like to marry up more than men, but men in this placement can often marry up as well. Like they tend to marry a very self-sufficient woman. So that's the thing. Second lord in the eighth house, these people have a tendency to make money suddenly and to make money through in sudden inheritances, sudden winnings, sudden lottery winnings, anything where there's a prize at the end. These people should try to apply for that prize, because they have a better than average chance of getting the prize, because second lord in the eighth house makes them naturally get things which are speculative or unknown, like where there's a sudden win. whereas somebody else might not be as predetermined to get that. So they have an advantage in all sorts of different, like, risky type scenarios. Like, these are the only people I wouldn't recommend they play the lottery, because obviously the lottery is rigged so that you would lose. But these people do have a better than average chance of winning prizes like that at some point in their life. So if it comes to you, you should probably take the risk. These people also do tend to marry up, and they tend to have a lot of financial ups and downs in their life, especially if the second lord is like Mars, like for instance in a Libra ascendant or a Pisces ascendant. They do tend to have a lot of ups and downs in their financial life, and they tend to be very possessive of their money. But they do tend to marry somebody who's more secure and stable than they are, who sort of will help them out with that. And because they are prone to getting like scammed and like getting taken advantage of financially, like the victim of scams and that kind of thing early in their life, they are very, very well aware of the dangers of that kind of thing, so that they don't fall into it in the future. So that is definitely a thing that these people deal with. Second lord in the ninth house, these people are almost certainly they need to be teachers of something, whether it's communicating about a philosophy, or communicating about science, or like in anything like that. These people need to teach a large audience of people for their success to be like well received. And some people say like, well, college isn't for everybody. Generally speaking, it is for these people. These people should go to school. Hopefully they don't have to take out too much debt to do that, but these people, they can, these are the people who can pay off their student loans, generally speaking. Now, unless Jupiter is like in a very specific place, or it's conjunct a node or something where it's less favorable for education, that kind of thing. But for the most part, these people do make money in education. So the more they stay around educated people, and the more they teach others and get in a position to teach others, the more they will achieve in their life in terms of finance. Second lord in the 10th house, these people are basically, these people should work. Like, that's my best advice for them. They should, these are the people who, the more time they put into something, and the more refined and better they get at that thing, the more money they make. That's not the case for everybody. Some people could spend like 40 hours a week doing the same thing over and over and over for 30 years, and they'll still be making the same amount of money. But these people, because Saturn is their second house lord, they basically get rewarded for all the time they put in. And these people also are, depending on where Saturn is, they need to probably learn to stand up for themselves and to be authority. And the more authority they get in life, like the amount of authority they get is basically linked to the amount of time they put into something. And the more authority they get, the more money they will make. So these people do very well in manager positions. These people do very well where they're the boss of a group of people. Any sort of manager type person is very well seen from this placement. Second lord in the 11th house. These people need to basically these people basically need to be creative. Second lord in the 11th house people need to take an existing thing and improve upon it. So whether that's being in consulting, or engineering, or even medicine can be seen from this placement. These people basically, the best way for them to make money is taking something that's broke and fixing it. Whether that's a person, a machine, a organization, whatever it is, improving things is basically their way that they will make money in this world. And second lord in the 12th house, and this is a tricky placement because Pisces basically rules loss of things, but it's also 11th from the second house. So these people basically, they would probably do best in a situation where somebody else is basically taking care of the situation. So if that means that, these people tend to go through like unemployment, and they tend to go through like difficult financial periods where nonetheless they get compensated, whereas somebody else might think like, oh no, my life is over, like, like I feel so bad all the time, and like I can't figure it out. These people basically need to pursue a spiritual path in order to achieve success. A good example of this might be like somebody like Dandapani, who I referenced in my Stellium video, who teaches spiritual like truth. He was a monk for like 20 years, and now he goes around and did a TED talk, and now teaches spiritual truths to people, and like teaches what he learned in the monastery. Or Terence McKenna is another good example of somebody who would be seen as like a success of second lord in the 12th house. I don't know if he had second lord in the 12th house, but I do know that like he's a teacher of like, he did a bunch of psychedelics and studied like psychedelic plants and stuff like that. So that's Pisces, basically the realm of illusion. And he was able to, make a good living, like writing books about his experiences on these drugs and the chemistry of them and that kind of thing. So basically, somebody with second lord in the 12th house, there's a couple of options. Either they should, one, drop out of society like in a monastery, or two, they should spend a lot of time learning about unknown things or things that are confusing to other people, and teach them, or they should apply for disability. Basically, those are the options, and obviously it depends where Jupiter is. So if somebody has like Jupiter in the 10th house, or Jupiter or not in the 10th house, in Capricorn, if Jupiter in Capricorn or Jupiter in a very materialistic sign, these people aren't going to want to drop out of society. These people are going to want to, like be more on the spiritual teacher edge of things. So, you have to match the way you live to the whole chart, not just the placements. These people can also try to depend on their 10th or 6th lord for financial stuff, or their 11th lord for financial stuff, because even if the second lord is in a place that basically is saying you need to live like a monastic sort of monk-like spiritual life, they they might not want to do that because of their other placements. So you have to try to balance out the chart. And but yeah, basically either research or monk, like dropping out of society, or teaching of spiritual things is basically the best way for second lord in the 12th house people to exist. So yeah, that was my video on second lord through houses, and next I'll be doing third lord through houses. And questions, comments, concerns below, they're always appreciated, and I do answer as many of them as I can. And thanks. Have a good one. Tune in next time.